5 simple habits that are very practical to implement in everyday life that will help stabilize and even reverse diabetes. And it even works for obesity. Stay until the end of the video when I'll tell you what kind of physical activity will help you avoid it and when it's best to do it. You'll see the difference when you apply it to your life. Hello everyone, welcome to this new video and welcome to AI Health Talk 360, your YouTube channel dedicated to health, including sexual health, nutrition, weight loss and general health, whether it's cancer, diabetes and so on. Today we're talking about diabetes, specifically type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes has more genetic and physiological causes, but the advice I'm going to give you today also applies to type 1 diabetes. But for people with type 2 diabetes, the advice I am going to give you can even help reverse the trend. In addition, obese people also have what is known as insulin resistance, which means that they are sometimes in a pre-diabetic state. So what are the 5 habits that can help you achieve all this? 1. Avoid ultra-processed foods. What exactly does the term processed mean? It means that the food has been so heavily processed and so many additives have been added to it that it is very far from its original natural state. I am referring in particular to industrial deli meats, which contain a lot of additives. I'm also talking about industrialized cookies, chicken nuggets, fish sticks, patties, industrialized vegetables, etc. Please note, I'm not saying that these foods are harmful. I'm saying that when they are ultra-processed and industrialized, they are harmful. Studies have even shown that 2 people who consume the same amount of calories and even the same balance of protein, carbohydrates, and fat, but one eats ultra-processed foods and the other eats products that are closer to natural, more or less homemade, or at least prepared without too many additives. The person who eats ultra-processed foods still has a risk of remaining obese, remaining diabetic, or even developing diabetes and even depression, because it's not just about calories and proteins, carbohydrates, etc., but also about the chemicals added to these foods, which can have a very inflammatory effect on our bodies. I will make a video about what is known as the anti-inflammatory diet, which also has a disruptive effect on hormones, including insulin. So try to eat foods that are as close to homemade as possible. Or, if you do eat something processed, make sure you don't make it a daily habit. 2. Improve your sleep quality. Sleep is one of the things we often forget when we want to improve diabetes, obesity, and insulin resistance problems. Why? Because regular sleep is essential for hormones to function properly. Never forget that it is during the deep sleep phases that we have several times during the night. We have 3 to 5 sleep cycles, and each cycle is a time when our brain and body go into reset mode. It resets everything, including insulin and leptin, which are involved in weight and diabetes. The rule for you would be to wake up at the same time every day, including holidays, weekends, etc. I know it's unpleasant, but it's essential for your biological clock. And learn to go to bed when it's time to sleep, not when you're tired. That way, you'll learn to tell the difference between the two. If you want to learn many other tips for improving the quality of your sleep, I will soon be making a video on tips for combating insomnia. Just let me know in the comment. It is so important that a study has already shown that people who sleep more than 6 hours a day have good sleep. When we sleep less than 6 hours, we lose 40% of our ability to regulate blood sugar levels. Now you understand why I emphasize the importance of sleep quality so much. 3. Stay hydrated. I'd say avoid dehydration. You don't need to have a very high level of hydration. You just need to avoid dehydration, which can deregulate a number of things in your body, including the glycemia regulation system, that is blood sugar levels. When you hydrate, don't hydrate with sugary products like sugary fruit juices, sugary sodas, etc. Best drink? Sparkling water with a little flavoring if you like, with herbal teas, etc. but make sure you don't dehydrate. Minimum 1.5 liters of water intake per 24 hours are more than sufficient, and increase this when you have a fever. When you're physically active, in this case when it's hot, you increase your water intake to 2 liters or even 3 liters for some people. If you want to know if you're well hydrated, you need to look at the color of your urine. If it's clear, you're well hydrated. But as soon as it starts to get darker, it could be that you're just too hydrated, so you need to dehydrate. And if you want to know all about urine color, what does it tell us about our state of health? Watch the video I've already made on this subject, which you'll find just below in the description or by clicking on the right of your screen. It's not just dehydration that can change the color of our urine, it's also diet. Just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, we recommend you do so, as we're here to help you understand everything about your health, whether sexual, nutritional, or in general, and we cover all kinds of topics. Thank you. Let's continue today's lesson with 4. Eat mindfully. In other words, focus on what you're eating. In other words, try to spot a difference by asking yourself questions. For example, is there cinnamon or turmeric in my meal? Is there a taste I don't know, or is there a taste I don't like? The idea is not to ask exactly these questions, but to get into the habit of focusing on what you're eating by asking yourself questions about the food in front of you. And focusing on what you eat has several advantages. Firstly, it allows you to rediscover the sensation of fullness and satiety. You reconnect with all that, which will be very useful if you want to avoid snacking in the future. Secondly, you eat more slowly and chew more before swallowing. This will enable you to pre-digest food. When you eat slowly, the sugar level rises very slowly in the blood, so it doesn't arrive all at once. This means that the same amount of carbohydrate you eat, if it enters the bloodstream all at once, has a much more harmful effect than if it enters gradually. That's why I advise you to eat things containing carbohydrates at the start of meals, and consume those with less in the second half of meals. And we've come to the last tip, 5. Be physically active every day. As I promised at the beginning of the video, physical activity is essential. This may involve going to the gym or practicing a specific sport. Don't think it's compulsory, although if you're already doing it, it's already very good. By physical activity, I want you to understand to be physically active. In fact, being physically active involves many little things in everyday life. Let me give you 2 or 3 examples. 1. Vacuuming. Your thighs will be slightly bent and you'll feel a little thing in the abdominals, which will then help you to stand well on the one hand. On the other hand, it prevents back pain, and the fact that your thighs are slightly bent helps you burn calories and carbohydrates. When you're training your abs, you'll be able to shape them better and burn a little fat. 2. Suppose you're working at your desk. From time to time, you'll be careful to stand up straight, which will work all the muscles in your back, arms, shoulders, and so on. At break time, you'll go for a walk, say, to get something to eat. Without realizing it, your whole body will be active and you'll be spending energy, a very small amount. Studies have shown that walking 20 to 30 minutes after each meal, at lunchtime and in the evening, helps you to digest properly. Another study has shown that walking at least 20 minutes a day, every day, reduces drug-induced blood sugar levels by 30% and improves insulin resistance, which in turn reduces the need for anti-diabetic drugs. Other studies have shown that the best physical activity for balancing blood sugar levels is one that combines a little endurance with a little muscle strengthening. For example, we'll walk for a while, then do a bit of gymnastics, perhaps with elastics or squats, which will allow us to strengthen our muscles and build endurance. We can also take part in sports such as rowing, swimming, and so on, What are the benefits? Endurance will enable us to improve our cardiovascular capacity, which will require our body to go and get all the sugar in the blood and even go and get the fat reserves to transform them into ketone. But there's also an advantage to gaining muscle. The more muscle mass you have, the better your insulin resistance. So the less insulin your body has to secrete, the better your diabetic condition. However, if you don't want to get lost in all the details, remember that all physical activity is beneficial for people with diabetes or obesity. Any physical activity is good to take, whatever it is, and especially the one you enjoy doing, because it will also improve stress hormones, and as you now know, if stress is reduced, diabetes balance is better. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you've learned anything, let us know in the comments if you'd like us to do more videos on this topic. If you've tried things on your own and still can't get it right, don't be left alone and seek help from a professional. Whether it's in town or a teleconsultation, there are solutions for you. Thank you again for hearing us out. Take care and see you soon.